Romell Young, born February 18, 1965, known professionally as Dr. Dre, is an American rapper, record producer, record executive, and actor. Personal life. On December 15, 1981, when Dre was 16 years old and his then-girlfriend Cassandra Joy Green was 15 years old, the two had a son named Curtis, who was brought up by Green and first met Dre 20 years later. Curtis performed as a rapper under the name Hood Surgeon. In 1983, Dre and Lisa Johnson had a daughter named LaTanya Danielle Young. Dre and Johnson have 3 daughters together. In 1988, Dre and Janetta Porter had a son named Andre Young Jr. In 1990, Porter sued Dre, seeking $5,000 of child support per month. On August 23, 2008, Andre died at the age of 20 from an overdose of heroin and morphine at his mother's Woodland Hills home. From 1987 to 1996, Dre dated singer Michelle Liu, who frequently contributed vocals to Ruthless Records and Death Row Records albums. In 1991, they had a son named Marcel. In April 1992, after a verbal dispute with his engineer, Dre was consequently shot 4 times in his leg. On May 25, 1996, Dre married Nicole "Nay" Plotzker Threat, who was previously married to basketball player Sedale Threat. They have 2 children together, a son named True Ice, born 1997, and a daughter named Truly, born 2001. In 2001, Dre earned a total of about $52 million from selling part of his share of Aftermath Entertainment to Interscope Records and his production of such hit songs that year as Family Affair by Mary J. Blige. Rolling Stone magazine thus named him the second highest paid artist of the year. Dr. Dre was ranked 44th in 2004 from earnings of $11.4 million, primarily from production royalties from such projects as albums from G-Unit and D12 and the single Rich Girl by singer Gwen Stefani and rapper Eve. Forbes estimated his net worth at $270 million in 2012. The same publication later reported that he acquired $110 million via his various endeavors in 2012, making him the highest paid artist of the year. Income from the 2014 sale of Beats to Apple, contributing to what Forbes termed the biggest single-year payday of any musician in history, made Dr. Dre the world's richest musical performer of 2015. He remains one of the wealthiest musical artists. In 2014, Dre purchased a $40 million home in the Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles from its previous owners, NFL player Tom Brady and supermodel Gisele Bündchen. It was reported that Dre suffered a brain aneurysm on January 5, 2021, and that he was admitted to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center's ICU in Los Angeles, California. Hours after his admission to the hospital, Dre's home was targeted for an attempted burglary. He eventually received support from LeBron James, Martin Lawrence, LL Cool J, Missy Elliott, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Ice Cube, 50 Cent, Ellen DeGeneres, Ciara, her husband Russell Wilson, T.I., Quincy Jones and others. In February, he was released with a following message on Instagram: "Thanks to my family, friends and fans for their interest and well wishes. I'm doing great and getting excellent care from my medical team. I will be out of the hospital and back home soon. Shout out to all the great medical professionals at Cedars. One love." In March 2024, Dre revealed that during his hospitalization following the brain aneurysm, he also suffered 3 strokes. In December 2021, Dre finalized his divorce from Nicole Threat for a reported sum of $100 million of his estate. Dre is a fan of both the Los Angeles Rams of the NFL and the Los Angeles Lakers of the NBA. Early life. Romell Young was born in Compton, California, on February 18, 1965, the son of Theodore and Verna Young. His middle name is derived from the Romells, his father's amateur R&B group. His parents married in 1964, separated in 1968, and divorced in 1972. His mother later remarried to Curtis Crayon and had 3 children, sons Jerome and Tyree, both deceased, and daughter Shamika. In 1976, Dre began attending Vanguard Junior High School in Compton, but due to gang violence, he transferred to the safer suburban Roosevelt Junior High School. The family moved often and lived in apartments and houses in Compton, Carson, Long Beach, and the Watts and South Central neighborhoods of Los Angeles. Dre has said that he was mostly raised by his grandmother in the new Wilmington Arms housing project in Compton. His mother later married Warren Griffin, which added 3 stepsisters and One stepbrother to the family, the latter would eventually begin rapping under the name Warren G. Dre, is also the cousin of producer Sir Jinx. Dre attended Centennial High School in Compton during his freshman year in 1979, but transferred to Fremont High School in South Central Los Angeles due to poor grades. He attempted to enroll in an apprenticeship program at Northrop Aviation Company, but was ineligible due to poor grades. Thereafter, he focused on his social life and entertainment for the remainder of his high school years. Dre's frequent absences from school jeopardized his position as a diver on his school's swim team. After high school, he attended Chester Adult School in Compton following his mother's demands for him to get a job or continue his education. After brief attendance at a radio broadcasting school, he relocated to the residence of his father and residence of his grandparents before returning to his mother's house. He is the founder and CEO of Aftermath Entertainment and Beats Electronics, and co-founded and was the president of Death Row Records. Dre began his career as a member of the world-class Wrecking Crew in 1985, and later found fame with the gangsta rap group NWA. The group popularized explicit lyrics in hip-hop to detail the violence of street life. During the early 1990s, Dre was credited as a key figure in the crafting and popularization of West Coast G-Funk, a subgenre of hip-hop characterized by a synthesizer foundation and slow, heavy production. Released as Death Row's first major project, Dr. Dre's solo debut studio album, The Chronic, 1992, made him one of the best-selling American music artists of 1993. It earned him a Grammy Award for Best Rap Solo Performance with the single Let Me Ride, as well as several accolades for the single Nothin' But a G-Tang, featuring Snoop Dogg. That year, he produced Death Row label-mate Snoop Doggy Dogg's debut album Doggy Style, and mentored producers such as his stepbrother Warren G., leading to the multi-platinum debut Regulate. G-Funk Era in 1994, and Snoop Dogg's cousin Daz Dillinger, leading to the double-platinum debut Dog Food by the Dog Pound in 1995, as he would mentor other producers including Mel Mann and Scott Storch. In 1996, Dre left Death Row Records to establish his own label, Aftermath Entertainment. His compilation album, Dr. Dre Presents, The Aftermath, 1996, and second studio album, 2001, 1999, followed thereafter. During the 2000s, Dr. Dre shifted focus onto production for other artists, occasionally contributing vocals. He signed Eminem in 1998 and 50 Cent in 2002, while extensively contributing to releases by both artists. Aftermath has since signed other artists including The Game, Kendrick Lamar, Anderson .Paak, Silk Sonic, Busta Rhymes, Eve, and Rakim, among others. He has won 7 Grammy Awards, including Producer of the Year, Non-Classical. Rolling Stone ranked him number 56 on the list of 100 greatest artists of all time. Outside of music, Dre has acted in films such as Set It Off, The Wash, and Training Day. Other ventures. Film appearances. Dr. Dre made his first on-screen appearance as a weapons dealer in the 1996 bank robbery movie Set It Off. In 2001, Dr. Dre also appeared in the movies The Wash and Training Day. 69, a song of his, Bad Intentions, featuring Nocturnal and produced by Mahogany, was featured on the Wash soundtrack. Dr. Dre also appeared on 2 other songs on The Boulevard and The Wash along with his co-star Snoop Dogg. Crucial Films. Crucial Films. Industry Film Production Company. Founded 2007. Founder Dr. Dre. Fate Inactive. Owner New Line Cinema. Website crucialfilms.com. In February 2007, it was announced that Dr. Dre would produce dark comedies and horror films for New Line Cinema-owned company Crucial Films, along with longtime video director Philip Atwell. Dr. Dre announced, "This is a natural switch for me, since I've directed a lot of music videos, and I eventually want to get into directing." Along with fellow member Ice Cube, Dr. Dre produced Straight Outta Compton, 2015, a biographical film about NWA. Entrepreneurship. Beats Electronics. Beats by Dr. Dre logo. In 2006, Dre co-founded Beats Electronics with his partner, Jimmy Iovine. Its first brand of headphones were launched in July 2008. The line consisted of Beats Studio, a circumaural headphone, Beats Tour, an in-ear headphone, Beats Solo and Solo HD, a supraaural headphone, Beats Spin, Heartbeats by Lady Gaga, also an in-ear headphone, and Diddy Beats. In late 2009, Hewlett-Packard participated in a deal to bundle Beats by Dr. Dre with some HP laptops and headsets. HP and Dr. Dre announced the deal on October 9, 2009, at a press event. An exclusive laptop, known as the HP Envy 15 Beats Limited Edition, was released for sale October 22. In January 2014, Beats Music was introduced and launched as a streaming service. Then, in May, technology giant Apple purchased the Beats brand for $3.40 billion. The deal made Dr. Dre the richest man in hip-hop. Dr. Dre became an Apple employee in an executive role and worked with Apple for years. As of 2022, it was found that Apple had subtracted $200 million from the deal after entertainer Tyrese Gibson revealed the news of the acquisition on social media a month before it was completed without the company's permission. Philanthropy. During May 2013, Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine donated a $70 million endowment to the University of Southern California to create the USC Jimmy Iovine and Andre Young Academy for Arts, Technology, and the Business of Innovation. The goal of the Academy has been stated as to shape the future by nurturing the talents, passions, leadership and risk-taking of uniquely qualified students who are motivated to explore and create new art forms, technologies, and business models. The first class of the Academy began in September 2014. In June 2017, it was announced that Dr. Dre had committed $10 million to the construction of a performing arts center for the new Compton High School. The center will encompass creative resources and a 1,200-seat theater and is expected to break ground in 2020. The project is a partnership between Dr. Dre and the Compton Unified School District. Commercial endorsements. In 2002 and 2003, Dr. Dre appeared in TV commercials for Coors Light beer. Beginning in 2009, Dr. Dre appeared in TV commercials that also featured his Beats electronics product line. A 2009 commercial for the Drive Pepper soft drink had Dr. Dre DJing with Beats headphones and playing a brief snippet off the never-released Detox album. In 2010, Dr. Dre had a cameo in a commercial for HP laptops that featured a plug for Beats Audio. Then, in 2011, the Chrysler 300S imported from Detroit ad campaign had a commercial narrated by Dr. Dre and including a plug for Beats Audio. Dr. Dre started Burning Man rumors. An urban legend surfaced in 2011 when a Tumblr blog titled Dr. Dre Started Burning Man began promulgating the notion that the producer, rapper and entrepreneur had discovered Burning Man in 1995 during a music video shoot and offered to cover the cost of the event's permit from the Nevada Bureau of Land Management under an agreement with the festival's organizers that he could institute an entrance fee system, which had not existed before his participation. This claim was supported by an alleged letter from Dre to Nicole Threat Young that indicated that Dre had shared his experience witnessing the Burning Man festival with her. Business Insider mentions the portion of the letter where Dr. Dre purportedly states someone should get behind this and make some money off these fools and compares Dr. Dre's potential entrepreneurial engagement with Burning Man as a parallel to Steve Jobs' efforts to centralize and profit from the otherwise unorganized online music industry, according to Salon. Dr. Dre's ethos seems to be aligned with 7 of the 10 principles of the Burning Man community: radical self-reliance, radical self-expression, communal effort, civic responsibility, leaving no trace, participation and immediacy. Musical influences and style. The space, about the size of a college dorm room, is splattered with papers, ideas scribbled down in black ink. Nothing but things waiting to happen. Those that don't happen end up in a round, purple LA Lakers trash can. A kitchen, red and stainless steel, like a 50s diner, adjoins the control room. Corey Moss of MTV News, in a 2002 profile of Dre with a visit to his studio. Production style. Dre in 2011. Dre is noted for his evolving production style, while always keeping in touch with his early musical sound and reshaping elements from previous work. At the beginning of his career as a producer for the world-class Wrecking Crew with DJ Alonzo Williams in the mid-1980s, his music was in the electro-hop style pioneered by the Unknown DJ, and that of early hip-hop groups like the Beastie Boys and Houdini. From Straight Outta Compton on, Dre uses live musicians to replay old melodies rather than sampling them. With Ruthless Records, collaborators included guitarist Mike Crazy Neck Sims, multi-instrumentalist Colin Wolfe, DJ Yella, and sound engineer Donovan the Dirt Biker Sound. Dre is receptive of new ideas from other producers, one example being his fruitful collaboration with Above the Law's producer Cold 187 while at Ruthless. Cold 187 was at the time experimenting with 1970s P-Funk samples, Parliament, Funkadelic, Bootsy Collins, George Clinton, etc., that Dre also used. Dre has since been accused of stealing the concept of G-Funk from Cold 187 Upon leaving Ruthless and forming Death Row Records in 1991, Dre called on veteran West Coast DJ Chris "The Glove" Taylor and sound engineer Greg "Gregski" Royal, along with Colin Wolfe, to help him on future projects. His 1992 album, The Chronic, is thought to be one of the most well-produced hip-hop albums of all time. Musical themes included hard-hitting synthesizer solos played by Wolfe, bass-heavy compositions, background female vocals, and Dre fully embracing 1970s funk samples. Dre used a Minimoog synth to replay the melody from Leon Haywood's 1972 song I Wanna Do Something Freaky to You for The Chronic's first single Nothin' But a G-Tang, which became a global hit. For his new protege Snoop Doggy Dogg's album Doggy Style, Dre collaborated with then 19-year-old producer Daz Dillinger, who received co-production credits on songs Serial Killa and For All My Niggas and Bitches, the Dramatics bass player Tony T. Money Green, guitarist Ricky Rouse, keyboardists Emmanuel Porkchop Dean and Sean Barney Rebel Thomas and engineer Tommy Doherty, as well as Warren G. and Sam Snead, who are credited with bringing several samples to the studio. The influence of The Chronic and Doggy Style on the popular music of the 1990s went not only far beyond the West Coast, but beyond hip-hop as a genre. Artists as diverse as Master P, Bout It, George Michael, Fast Love, Mariah Carey, Fantasy, Adina Howard, Freak Like Me, Luis Miguel, Dame, and the Spice Girls, Say You'll Be There, used G-Funk instrumentation in their songs. Bad Boy Records producer Chucky Thompson stated in the April 2004 issue of XXL magazine that the sound of Doggy Style and The Chronic was the basis for the Notorious B.I.G.'s 1995 hit single Big Papa. At that time, we were listening to Snoop's album. We knew what was going on in the West through Dr. Dre. Big just knew the culture, he knew what was going on with hip-hop. It was more than just New York, it was all over. In 1994, starting with The Murder Was the Case soundtrack, Dre attempted to push the boundaries of G-Funk further into a darker sound. In songs such as Murder Was the Case and Natural Born Killers, the synthesizer pitch is higher and the drum tempo is slowed down to 91 BPM, 87 BPM in the remix, to create a dark and gritty atmosphere. Percussion instruments, particularly sleigh bells, are also present. Dre's frequent collaborators from this period included Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania native Stuart Stooby-Doo Bullard, a multi-instrumentalist from the O&M Strings Orchestra, Sam Snead, Stephen Budda Anderson, and percussionist Carl Butch Small. This style of production has been influential far beyond the West Coast. The beat for the Houston-based group Ghetto Boys' 1996 song still follows the same drum pattern as Natural Born Killers, and Eazy-E's What Would You Do, a diss to Dre, is similar to the original Murder Was the Case instrumental. This style of production is usually accompanied by horror and occult-themed lyrics and imagery, being crucial to the creation of horrorcore. By 1996, Dre was again looking to innovate his sound. He recruited keyboardist Kamara Kambon to play the keys on Been There, Done That, and through Budda and Sam Snead he was introduced to fellow Pittsburgh native Melvin "Melman" Bradford. At this time, he also switched from using the EMU SP1200 to the Akai MPC 3000 drum kit and sampler, which he still uses today. Beginning with his 1996 compilation Drive Dre Presents The Aftermath, Dre's production has taken a less sample-based approach, with loud, layered snare drums dominating the mix, while synthesizers are still omnipresent. In his critically acclaimed second album, 2001, live instrumentation takes the place of sampling, a famous example being The Next Episode, in which keyboardist Kamara Kambon replayed live the main melody from David McCallum's 1967 jazz-funk work The Edge. For every song on 2001, Dre had a keyboardist, guitarist and bassist create the basic parts of the beat, while he himself programmed the drums, did the sequencing and overdubbing and added sound effects, and later mixed the songs. During this period, Dre's signature West Coast whistle riffs are still present, albeit in a lower pitch, as in Lightspeed, Housewife, Some LA Niggas and Eminem's Guilty Conscience hook. The sound of 2001 had tremendous influence on hip-hop production, redefining the West Coast sound and expanding the G-funk of the early 1990s. To produce the album, Dre and Mel Mann relied on the talents of Scott Storch and Kamara Kambon on the keys, Mike Elizondo and Colin Wolfe on bass guitar, Sean Cruz on lead guitar, and sound engineers Richard Siegel Heredia and Mauricio Vito Irigori. From the mid-2000s, Dr. Dre has taken on a more soulful production style, using more of a classical piano instead of a keyboard, and having claps replace snares, as evidenced in songs such as Snoop Dogg's Imagine and Boss Life, Busta Rhymes' Get You Some and Been Through the Storm, Stat Quo's Get Low and The Way It Be, Jay-Z's Lost One, Nas Hustlers, and several beats on Eminem's Relapse album. Soul and R&B pianist Mark Batson, having previously worked with the Dave Matthews Band, Seal and Maroon 5, has been credited as the architect of this sound. Besides Batson, Aftermath producer and understudy of Dre's, DeJuan Parker, who has named Q-Tip and Jay Dilla as his primary influences, is thought to be responsible for giving Dre's newest beats an East Coast feel. Despite an occasional hint of trap about the beats and an intriguingly warped use of autotune in his Compton song, Dark Side/Gone, his production seems to stand slightly apart from current trends in hip-hop, like Eminem's song Little Engine, with an ominous horrorcore beat reminiscent of some of his works on Eminem's album Relapse, or the West Coast joint Lock It Up. Production equipment. Dr. Dre has said that his primary instrument in the studio is the Akai MPC 3000, a drum machine and sampler, and that he often uses as many as 4 or 5 to produce a single recording. He cites 1970s funk musicians such as George Clinton, Isaac Hayes, and Curtis Mayfield as his primary musical influences. Unlike most rap producers, he tries to avoid samples as much as possible, preferring to have studio musicians replay pieces of music he wants to use, because it allows him more flexibility to change the pieces in rhythm and tempo. In 2001 he told Time magazine, "I may hear something I like on an old record that may inspire me, but I'd rather use musicians to recreate the sound or elaborate on it. I can control it better." Other equipment he uses includes the EMU SP1200 drum machine and other keyboards from such manufacturers as Korg, Rhodes, Wurlitzer, Moog, and Roland. Dr. Dre also stresses the importance of equalizing drums properly, telling Scratch in 2004 that he used the same drum sounds on a couple of different songs on one album before, but you'd never be able to tell the difference because of the EQ. Dr. Dre also uses the digital audio workstation Pro Tools and uses the software to combine hardware drum machines and vintage analog keyboards and synthesizers. After founding Aftermath Entertainment in 1996, Dr. Dre took on producer Mel Mann as a co-producer, and his music took on a more synthesizer-based sound, using fewer vocal samples, as he had used on Lil Ghetto Boy and Let Me Ride on The Chronic, for example. Mel Mann has not shared co-production credits with Dr. Dre since approximately 2002, but fellow Aftermath producer Focus has credited Mel Mann as a key architect of the signature Aftermath sound. In 1999, Dr. Dre started working with Mike Elizondo, a bassist, guitarist, and keyboardist who has also produced, written and played on records for female singers such as Poe, Fiona Apple, and Alanis Morissette. In the past few years, Elizondo has since worked for many of Dr. Dre's productions. Dr. Dre also told Scratch magazine in a 2004 interview that he has been studying piano and music theory formally, and that a major goal is to accumulate enough musical theory to score movies. In the same interview he stated that he has collaborated with famed 1960s songwriter Burt Bacharach by sending him hip-hop beats to play over, and hopes to have an in-person collaboration with him in the future. Work ethic. Dr. Dre has stated that he is a perfectionist and is known to pressure the artists with whom he records to give flawless performances. In 2006, Snoop Dogg told the website dubcnn.com that Dr. Dre had made new artist Bishop Lamont re-record a single bar of vocals 107 times. Dr. Dre has also stated that Eminem is a fellow perfectionist, and attributes his success on Aftermath to his similar work ethic. That he gives a lot of input into the delivery of the vocals and will stop an MC during a take if it is not to his liking. However, he gives MCs that he works with room to write lyrics without too much instruction unless it is a specifically conceptual record, as noted by Bishop Lamont in the book How to Rap. A consequence of his perfectionism is that some artists who initially signed deals with Dr. Dre's Aftermath label never release albums. In 2001, Aftermath released the soundtrack to the movie The Wash, featuring a number of Aftermath acts such as Shanta, Dax, Joe Beast, and Toy. To date, none have released full-length albums on Aftermath and have apparently ended their relationships with the label and Dr. Dre. Other noteworthy acts to leave Aftermath without releasing albums include King T, 2001 vocalist Hitman, Joel Ortiz, Raekwon and Rakim. Collaborators and co-producers. Dr. Dre performing with Snoop Dogg, 2012. Over the years, word of other collaborators who have contributed to Dr. Dre's work has surfaced. During his tenure at Death Row Records, it was alleged that Dr. Dre's stepbrother Warren G and the Dogg Pound member Daz made many uncredited contributions to songs on his solo album The Chronic and Snoop Doggy Dogg's album Doggy Style. Daz received production credits on Snoop's similar-sounding, albeit less successful album The Dogfather after Young left Death Row Records. It is known that Scott Storch, who has since gone on to become a successful producer in his own right, contributed to Dr. Dre's second album 2001. Storch is credited as a songwriter on several songs and played keyboards on several tracks. In 2006 he told Rolling Stone, "At the time, I saw Dr. Dre desperately needed something," Storch says. "He needed a fuel injection, and Dr. Dre utilized me as the nitrous oxide. He threw me into the mix, and I sort of tapped on a new flavor with my whole piano sound and the strings and orchestration. So I'd be on the keyboards, and Mike Elizondo was on the bass guitar, and Dr. Dre was on the drum machine." Current collaborator Mike Elizondo, when speaking about his work with Young, describes their recording process as a collaborative effort involving several musicians. In 2004, he claimed to Songwriter Universe magazine that he had written the foundations of the hit Eminem song The Real Slim Shady, stating, "I initially played a bass line on the song, and Dr. Dre, Tommy Coster Jr., and I built the track from there. Eminem then heard the track, and he wrote the rap to it." This account is essentially confirmed by Eminem in his book Angry Blonde, stating that the tune for the song was composed by a studio bassist and keyboardist while Dr. Dre was out of the studio, but Young later programmed the song's beat after returning. A group of disgruntled former associates of Dr. Dre complained that they had not received their full due for work on the label in the September 2003 issue of The Source. A producer named Nephew claimed to have produced the songs Say What You Say and My Dad's Gone Crazy on The Eminem Show, the songs If I Can't and Back Down on 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Tryin', and the beat featured on Dr. Dre's commercial for Coors Beer. Although Young studies piano and music theory, he serves as more of a conductor than a musician himself, as Josh Tarangiel of Time magazine has noted. Every Dre track begins the same way, with Dre behind a drum machine in a room full of trusted musicians. They carry beepers. When he wants to work, they work. He'll program a beat, then ask the musicians to play along. When Dre hears something he likes, he isolates the player and tells him how to refine the sound. "My greatest talent," Dre says, "is knowing exactly what I want to hear." Although Snoop Dogg retains working relationships with Warren G and Daz, who are alleged to be uncredited contributors on the hit albums The Chronic and Doggy Style, he states that Dr. Dre is capable of making beats without the help of collaborators, and that he is responsible for the success of his numerous albums. Dr. Dre's prominent studio collaborators, including Scott Storch, Elizondo, Mark Batson and DeJuan Parker, have shared co-writing, instrumental, and more recently co-production credits on the songs where he is credited as the producer. Anderson.Pac also praised Dr. Dre in a 2016 interview with Music Times, telling the publication that it was a dream come true to work with Dre. Ghostwriters. It is acknowledged that most of Dr. Dre's raps are written for him by others, though he retains ultimate control over his lyrics and the themes of his songs. As Aftermath producer Mahogany told Scratch, "It's like a classroom in the booth. He'll have 3 writers in there. They'll bring in something, he'll recite it, then he'll say, change this line, change this word, like he's grading papers." As seen in the credits for tracks Young has appeared on, there are often multiple people who contribute to his songs, although often in hip-hop many people are officially credited as a writer for a song, even the producer. In the book How to Rap, RBX explains that writing The Chronic was a team effort and details how he ghostwrote Let Me Ride for Dre. In regard to ghostwriting lyrics, he says, "Dre doesn't profess to be no super-duper rap dude. Dre is a super-duper producer. As a member of NWA, the DOC wrote lyrics for him while he stuck with producing. Jay-Z ghostwrote lyrics for the single Still Dre from Dr. Dre's album 2001. Controversies and legal issues. Violence against women. Dre has been accused of multiple incidents of violence against women. On January 27, 1991, at a music industry party at the Penang Na Suk Club in Hollywood, Dr. Dre assaulted television host Dee Barnes of the Fox television program Pump It Up, following an episode of the show. Barnes had interviewed NWA, which was followed by an interview with Ice Cube in which Cube mocked NWA. Barnes filed a $22.7 million lawsuit in response to the incident. Subsequently, Dr. Dre was fined $2,500, given 2 years probation, ordered to undergo 240 hours of community service, and given a spot on an anti-violence public service announcement on television. The civil suit was settled out of court. Barnes stated that he began slamming her face and the right side of her body repeatedly against a wall near the stairway. Dr. Dre later commented, "People talk all this shit, but somebody fucks with me, I'm gonna fuck with them. I just did it, Ain't nothing you can do now by talking about it. Besides, it ain't no big thing, I just threw her through a door." In March 2015, Michelle Liu, the mother of one of Dre's children, accused him of subjecting her to domestic violence during their time together as a couple, but did not initiate legal action. Their abusive relationship is portrayed in her 2016 biopic Surviving Compton. Dre, Suge and Michelle Liu. Dre threatened a lawsuit against Lifetime, Sony Pictures and filmmakers of Surviving Compton in a cease and desist, but never ultimately took action. Interviewed by Ben Westhoff for the book Original Gangstas, The Untold Story of Dr. Dre, Eazy, Ice Cube, Tupac Shakur, and the Birth of West Coast Rap, Lisa Johnson stated that Dre beat her many times, including while she was pregnant. She was granted a restraining order against him. Former labelmate Terry B claimed that Dre assaulted her at a post-Grammy party in 1990, in response to her track Ruthless Bitch. During press for the 2015 film Straight Outta Compton, questions about the portrayal and behavior of Dre and other prominent figures in the rap community about violence against women, and the question about its absence in the film, were raised. The discussion about the film led to Dre addressing his past behavior in the press. In August 2015, in an interview with Rolling Stone, Dre lamented his abusive past, saying, "I made some fucking horrible mistakes in my life. I was young, fucking stupid. I would say all the allegations aren't true, some of them are. Those are some of the things that I would like to take back. It was really fucked up. But I paid for those mistakes, and there's no way in hell that I will ever make another mistake like that again." In a statement to the New York Times on August 21, 2015, exactly 2 weeks after his album, Compton, was released, Dre again addressed his abusive past, stating, "25 years ago I was a young man drinking too much and in over my head with no real structure in my life. However, none of this is an excuse for what I did. I've been married for 19 years, and every day I'm working to be a better man for my family, seeking guidance along the way. I'm doing everything I can so I never resemble that man again. I apologize to the women I've hurt. I deeply regret what I did and know that it has forever impacted all of our lives." In the 2017 film The Defiant Ones, Dr. Dre explained about the Dee Barnes incident again. "This was a very low point in my life. I've done a lot of stupid shit in my life. A lot of things I wish I could go and take back. I've experienced abuse. I've watched my mother get abused. So there's absolutely no excuse for it. No woman should ever be treated that way. Any man that puts his hands on a female is a fucking idiot. He's out of his fucking mind, and I was out of my fucking mind at the time. I fucked up, I paid for it, I'm sorry for it, and I apologize for it. I have this dark cloud that follows me, and it's going to be attached to me forever. It's a major blemish on who I am as a man." Second divorce. Dre's wife, Nicole Plotzker-Young, filed for divorce in June 2020, citing irreconcilable differences. In November 2020, she filed legal claims that Dre engaged in verbal violence and infidelity during their marriage. She also stated that he tore up their prenuptial agreement that he wanted her to sign out of anger. Dre's representative responded, calling her claims of infidelity and violence in their marriage false. Before being released from the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, he was ordered to pay Plotzker-Young $2 million in temporary spousal support. Between the spring and summer of the year, Dre was ordered by the Los Angeles County judge to pay his ex-wife over $300,000 a month in spousal support. The $2 million extension request was also dismissed due to insufficient claims. In July 2021, Dr. Dre was ordered by the Los Angeles Superior Court judge to pay an additional $293,306 a month to his estranged wife in spousal support starting August 1st until she decides to remarry or further order of the court. Then, in August, the judge denied his wife's request for a protective order, due to her being afraid of Dre after a snippet leaked on Instagram of him rapping about the divorce proceedings and his possible brain aneurysm earlier that February. In the snippet, he called his wife a greedy bitch. In mid-October, Dr. Dre was served more divorce papers during his grandmother's funeral. That same month, Dre was officially deemed single by the judge. The financial owings in this case included expenses of Dre's Malibu, Palisades, and Hollywood Hills homes, but not his stock in past ownership of Beats Electronics prior to its sale to Apple in 2014. In December 2021. The divorce proceedings entered their final stages. On December 28, the divorce was settled with Dre keeping most of his assets and income due to the prenuptial agreement, although he would have to pay a 9-figure settlement within 1 year. Copyright lawsuits. During the course of 2001's popularity, Dr. Dre was involved in several lawsuits. Lucasfilm Limited, the film company behind the Star Wars film franchise, sued him over the use of the THX trademark Deep Note. The Fatback Band also sued Dr. Dre over alleged infringement regarding its song Backstrokin' in his song Let's Get High from the 2001 album. Dr. Dre was ordered to pay $1.5 million to the band in 2003. French jazz musician Jacques Lausier sued Aftermath for $10 million in March 2002, claiming that the Dr. Dre-produced Eminem track Kill You plagiarized his composition. Pulsion, the online music file-sharing company Napster, also settled a lawsuit with him and metal band Metallica in mid-2001, agreeing to block access to certain files that artists do not want to have shared on the network. Another copyright-related lawsuit hit Dr. Dre in the fall of 2002, when Sorry Jia Ma, a film and music company based in Calcutta, India, sued Aftermath Entertainment over an uncredited sample of the Lata Mangeshkar song Thoda Resham Lagta Hai on the Aftermath-produced song Addictive by singer Truth Hurts. In February 2003, a judge ruled that Aftermath would have to halt sales of Truth Hurts' album Truthfully Speaking if the company would not credit Mangeshkar. On June 28, 1992, hours before midnight, a barbecue grill and an overfill of charcoal caused Dre's Calabasas mansion to set on fire. 2 firefighters who exhausted the fire were treated in the hospital for minor injuries. The fire caused over $125,000 in home damages. Dre pleaded guilty in October 1992 in a case of battery of a police officer and was convicted on 2 additional battery counts stemming from a brawl in the lobby of the New Orleans hotel in May 1991. In 1993, he was convicted of battery after an altercation with a man who stood outside the front porch of his Woodland Hills home in front of the musician's girlfriend. He claimed that Dre broke his jaw as a result. On January 10, 1994, Dre was arrested after leading police on a 90 mph pursuit through Beverly Hills in his 1987 Ferrari. It was revealed that Dr. Dre had a blood alcohol of 0.16, twice the state of California's legal limit. The conviction violated the conditions of parole. Following Dre's battery conviction in 1993, he pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 8 months in prison. In September 1994, he was ordered to pay a $1,053 fine and attend an alcohol education program. In November 2004, at the Vibe Magazine Awards show in Los Angeles, Dr. Dre was attacked by a fan named Jimmy James Johnson, who was supposedly asking for an autograph. In the resulting scuffle, then G-Unit rapper Young Buck stabbed the man. Johnson claimed that Suge Knight, president of Death Row Records, paid him $5,000 to assault Dre in order to humiliate him before he received his Lifetime Achievement Award. Knight immediately went on CBS's The Late Late Show to deny involvement and insisted that he supported Dr. Dre and wanted Johnson charged. In September 2005, Johnson was sentenced to a year in prison and ordered to stay away from Dr. Dre until 2008. On October 30, 2015, Ruthless co-founder Jerry Heller filed suit against Dre, Ice Cube, Eazy's widow, Tamika Woods-Wright, Director F, Gary Gray and Universal Pictures for defamation of character and copyright infringement over the biopic, Straight Outta Compton. The lawsuit states that depictions of Heller in the film, portrayed by Paul Giamatti, were wrongfully taken from an autobiography he wrote about his involvement with Ruthless and NWA. The case was taken to court in June 2016, where a judge criticized the filing, saying that the film was approved to portray these facts in colorful and hyperbolic terms. On September 2, 2016, Jerry Heller died of a car accident, preceded by a heart attack. However, his lawsuit kept on through his legal team and members of his estate. In October 2018, the lawsuit was dropped, costing Heller's estate $35 million for punitive and $75 million for compensatory damages. On April 4, 2016, TMZ and the New York Daily News reported that Suge Knight had accused Dre and the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department of a kill-for-hire plot in the 2014 shooting of Knight in Club 108K. 3 months later, in July, Dre was reportedly detained by police after confronting a next-door neighbor in Malibu about a test drive. It was also alleged that he brandished a handgun on the neighbor, but no evidence would be linked, and Dre was soon released. On May 8, 2018, Dre lost a name trademark filing to a Pennsylvania gynecologist named Drean Birch, who previously filed a trademark petition in 2015 to use his nickname, Dr. Dre, which has the similar pronunciation. Then, on June 26, Dre and Jimmy Iovine were ordered to pay $25 million to former partner and creative designer Stephen Lamar, who sued the two co-founders for $100 million in unpaid royalties for designing the early Beats headphone models. The lawsuit was filed in 2015 after news broke out of Apple's acquisition of the headphone brand a year prior. In August 2021, Dr. Dre's oldest daughter Latanya Young spoke out about being homeless and unable to support her 4 children. She is currently working for Uber Eats and DoorDash, and she also works at warehouse jobs. She is living in debt in her SUV while her children are living with friends. Dr. Dre has allegedly stopped supporting Latanya financially since January 2020 because she has spoken about him in the press.